Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Javi Sanchez from DLSOBD InnoEd team here. I work with Kate and Camille and Cynthia and Tamika on various innovative small business programs that we provide for folks. We're continuing the Aspire and Dream training sessions on in particular on how to build out your network of support around your business. We're very, very thankful for um, Renata and Ezekiel, who have built a business in here in DC-based businesses here, and we're just talking about their businesses just before I interrupted. So sorry for that. I'll start with you, Renata. If you want to continue on, how you started your business and how important the networks is important as for small businesses to grow.
Hello everyone. My name is Renata Philippe again. I started my business in DC back in 2014. I made it legal in 2018 when I incorporated. It was a side hustle. I had a contract job. And I was essentially just making purses, custom items for people. But by 2018, when I decided to leave corporate America, I had started making more items for pop-ups. So products that people could buy right then and there. Personal home accessories. My network actually started with DSLBD, real basic, asking questions. And I ask a lot of questions. It's not my business. It was not my strong suit. But ground zero for me was DSLBD. I had never had a business before, a formal business before. And it was always like side hustles and side gigs. But yeah, ground zeros was DSLBD. The people who were helping me along and building my business here in DC. There are other people, and I guess we'll get to that later, but thank you for this opportunity.
Great. Thank you. And Ezekiel, can you introduce yourself? We'll continue on the panel.
Yes, thank you. So my name is Ezekiel Kenebrew. My business is called Build As You Grow LLC, and essentially I am a business development consultant. I help entrepreneurs, organizations, small businesses really outline their growth as far as like revenue, enhancing their marketing, as well as like optimizing operations. So then that way they could see themselves not only going from like 0 to 1, but say like 1 to 10, and then like 10 to 10 to 100, or 10 to 1000 if like that's where your goals are set. So really just being able to bring your goals into fruition. Um, the consulting side is something that I was doing even previously before I moved to DC, which was at about 2022. So in terms of networking, building a network of support around your business, for me to be essentially like a transplant to the district, it was very important for me and for the growth of my business to be able to utilize not only the resources that DSLBD provides, but also just like going the extra mile, I would call it, as far as like going to, like little networking events that I would find on Eventbrite, meeting people, just like being at a coffee shop. When I first moved out here, I lived over in Southeast, between Ward 7 and Ward 8, I would say, like right off of Pennsylvania Avenue, but I would always walk over to the Capital One Cafe in Anacostia, and I would just like meet people, walking along like the river, or just sitting at the coffee shop. That really helped me like gain clientele and become aware of like different programs that are accessible in the district, as well as just meeting people that would like the work that I was doing, would have an impact on. So it provided like a full funnel of what do the people need, what resources are available, and how can I work with entrepreneurs to kind of like bridge that gap. And I know that's something like that's very specific and key for like my industry in particular. But I also used to run a clothing line before I moved up here in Norfolk, Virginia, where like we were able to find success through a lot of the same methods, which is just like even if it's just like one person by one person, spreading your message authentically and consistently will really help you like find like who's most interested and benefits the most from your product or service. And that's part of what I also just like help entrepreneurs do is clarify that message and get it to the right people.
Thank you, Ezekiel. And just to, yeah, I'd like to first begin with just asking, just a general question. Like, we ask entrepreneurs and small businesses, the why. What's the why behind your business, and so yeah, any one of you can take a stab at that.
I definitely. Oh, sorry. You can go ahead.
No, I was saying I'm gonna let you go. I want you to go first. Like I said, I'm from Norfolk, so I'm gonna tell you to go first every time.
Yeah, that's funny. So I mean, for me, honestly, I think that's how I've been building my network, was knowing my why, having a clear vision. Even though it's shifted, my vision for my company has shifted. As Javier can attest to, I was just in a pitch contest, and that evolved. The more you get into your company, the basics should remain the same, but especially if depending on where you are. So I'm a design company. I'm based in Washington, D.C. It's not known for apparel and home accessories. When I was in Jersey or when I was in New York, I'm definitely a nomad. So, but my family was always here in D.C. But the why always was the same, but I've had to evolve because I'm in a different environment. So making sustainable items for you and your home has always been my why. Beautiful items. I didn't want it to look like it was handmade. I didn't want it to look like it was upcycled. I wanted people to just say, oh, that's a beautiful piece. And then you can add on, do you know she made it from this? So having your why is crucial, especially when talking to people. Even being able to talk to people on a one-on-one basis, even to a big crowd basis, just knowing why you're in business, and it's more than just money. Like, because it turns a lot of people off, especially in the DC area, the DMV area. Yeah, I'm a government contractor. I'm going after that money. You lose. I'm a guarantee you're gonna lose 80% of your audience. So have a real reason why you're doing it, and I'm sure most people do have a real reason why you're in your business, and people just want to hear that genuine answer.
I definitely agree with you. I think that impact when you chase impact, you not only like attract the right crowd, but you get closer, if not are able to hit or even surpass your results because it's more about like how many people can you affect as opposed to let me just make sure I hit this dollar amount. You never know, you could supersede the dollar amount just because you're making more of an impact. And so um, much to your same point, Renata, um, being able to know that, like for me, my why started very early. I said if I could make money, like helping other people make money, then like that'd be kind of like a righteous way to live. You know what I'm saying? And I kind of like figured that out um, as I was graduating high school. I didn't know what it would look like, but I just knew that the type of work that I wanted to do would be something that would be like a way to multiply our gifts. So with that being said, I went to school for international business at Old Dominion University and was blessed to be able to like I said, run a clothing line straight out of school. I kind of like realized that I was almost like consulting my partner, who was the artist behind all the work. And then I said, like, why not take this and do it for, more people? So then that way more people can actually, bring their goals and their dreams into fruition. And again, sticking to that point made it transferable from what I was doing down in Norfolk to DC, because it's just like the same play. It might look different, but it's how can I actually help whoever my client is take the ideas that are in their mind and bring them to life in a way that's sustainable. It's a system that can outlive like our work together. So in that way they can keep repeating their success and grow their business as they best see fit.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, definitely. One thing that I come across in various uh, from various clients is that they're not yet ready to take the plunge into opening a small business or starting a small business or into entrepreneurship from having obviously a secure career or something in their life that's obviously makes them secure. How would you address, or what are your personal journeys from thinking maybe I should take the plunge into this journey? What are your journeys and experiences?
I was not a clear path. It was not clear at all. Um, I joined the military to pay for college, and then when that didn't work out, I stayed in the military long. It just was a winding path. I was homeless because I was chasing after this dream. I wanted to go to school. Did go to school, ended up graduating with a degree in design, but apparel design. But it was a winding path. It took me, I think it was like 5 years to complete a 4-year degree. And then starting my business, it was almost like, I honestly can look back in retrospect, it was more like being kicked from the nest, because I would have kept, I was a computer engineer for the FDA. So it was just like the contract. I was a contractor. I had the opportunity to go on a full-time contract, but then I started applying for other contracts because I started noticing, hey, these people are making more money than me. And for various reasons, it was just more like a being kicked from the nest. And then I saw that my side hustle was doing better. And then basically it came down to a dialogue with my partner. It was just like, I'm making more money on the side than I am going in full time, trying to even get 60% of what, the other guys are making on the team. So it was more of me being kicked from the nest, and then looking at the numbers and realizing it was more profitable, less stressful. My hair hasn't been this long because of all the stress that I was going through in the corporate world. Like, it was just a number of factors that pushed me and launched me into doing it full time. Um, I can say in retrospect, I know, and actually I tell people all the time, hey, make sure those numbers make sense, because at the end of the day, that's the difference between you being a business and it being a hobby. Because at the end of the day, like, you got to make money. I'm not going to say that I'm always, every year has been at mark, because I've been incorporated in DC since 2018. This is one of my first years where I was just like, I feel like I pay more in taxes than I earned, than I earned for this year. So being a small business is stressful. Do not think just because you have a great idea that it's gonna pay at that moment. So I would definitely crunch the numbers first. Like, be passionate. I've been chasing this dream for 20 plus years. Be passionate. Know you have a good product, but at the end of the day, if you have a full-time gig, make sure those numbers match, because you gotta live. And I'm gonna say it again. I was homeless. So make sure, I think that's another reason why I always look at the numbers. But crunch those numbers like before you jump out and do this full time, because especially in varying economies, varying regions, a great idea doesn't always solidify in those first couple of years. So, yeah.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of what Renata said, I think that not only do the numbers have to make sense, but your spirit has to be in it too, because there might be times when the numbers don't reflect the amount of effort and energy that you're putting into your business. And that's the time when you have to like dig deep and, you know, it is true that where there's a will, there's a way. Um, and I think that that's especially true when it comes to networking and utilizing the resources that are out here, because similarly, last year I was faced with a relocation situation. I'll call it that, because it definitely felt like being homeless. I would say that having to move from the place where I was at that time, then having to like go from like Airbnb to Airbnb, and this is like in the span, literally, like this week would be like the anniversary of all these things, like kind of like clearing up. Um, but having like this major home shift in the middle of building my business here in DC, I can say that I was having trouble translating my entrepreneurial experience into actually like getting a job that, you know, where they saw me even at an entry level position. I'm talking about I've like ran a company successfully for 5 years, and it was hard for me to even translate that to get an entry level like marketing position. So where I actually was able to sustain myself here was taking my skill set, creating a deck, getting outside, networking, and landing contracts that actually helped me go from one situation to the next, to where like that stability actually ended up generating upon itself, because it was like a do or die type of situation. It's like I had to be outside networking and trying to find the next client and doing the work to where I could keep up those contracts to make sure that I had a place just to live, you know, because my mentality was if I go back to Norfolk, then I would feel like I failed. So like that fire, it wasn't, there's nothing wrong with going back home and having to reset. But what I'm saying is I used the adversity of what was going on at that time to actually, again, push me to keep going outside, keep going to these networking events, keep trying to, again, utilize the DSLBD resources, having um, the free consultations that they offer at the library, or signing up for whatever free resource that they had, to where if I wasn't using something from them specifically, again, I was making it like work in real life. If I wasn't learning, I was applying. If what I was applying, I was trying to learn more about. And that was like made possible through like that niche aspect of networking in and of itself. Because you got to use the resources that you acquire. Otherwise, you just like have a phone book full of contacts. And if you never hit anybody up, then what's the point? You
Exactly.
should have never went outside.
You stay
So
hungry. That's, I mean,
yeah,
at the end of the day, like you gotta stay hungry. If you got $100,000 or $1,000,000, I think that
right.
really, like, we definitely have that in common. Like staying hungry, like when
Yeah.
you don't know where you're laying your head, like staying hungry after the goal and being passionate will keep you going, like nothing else.
Yeah, for real, for real. And sometimes you got to feel that. Sometimes you really have to feel that fire too as an entrepreneur, because you know that you want it, like you want the success, you want the end result, but it's like the universe will reveal to you the end result, but won't tell you the path that you had to take. Because if it shows you the path,
You
then
wouldn't want
you
it.
might want to do it, right? So it's like those times where things are really thick, And it feels like, you know, you're being tested. It's because you are. And it's like God's way of saying, like, how bad do you want this?
Yeah, I completely agree.
And yeah, definitely inspiring stories and backgrounds. I think everybody's backgrounds are, you know, obviously unique and different and its own set of challenges. And I think for me, professionally, maybe personally, you know, uh, building a network is, you know, a goal, right? But being in an unfamiliar like territory, you know, maybe geographic, maybe, you know, maybe social circles, you know, that, you know, you may want to don't understand the lingo or language or, you know, what they're saying, you know, especially in like finance or, you know, financial business words or terms that you know, I don't understand it sometimes. So what are some, you know, some advice, you know, or some, you know, yeah, advice that you can, you know, share for folks who, you know, maybe kind of like, you know, unfamiliar with like, um, you know,
Like
you know,
business
yeah,
nomenclature and stuff.
business, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
you want to take that, Renata?
You can go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to lie to you all. Since Chat GPT has come to the forefront, if I just need a question about something, whether it's like a marketing strategy or like how to calculate a particular ratio that would give me more insight in regards to the health of my business, whether it be like how long is it that certain items stay in inventory, or like what is the profit margin, like how to calculate those particular things. I'll chat GPT that thing quick just because it's going to give me the answer and also like break it down to me, as well as say like a YouTube explanation. I do like a lot of reading on certain things, especially like when it comes to like new marketing terms and things of that nature. But then also when it comes to like understanding your balance sheet, um, and like how to organize your assets and your liabilities, what that means, but what's left over as far as like the owner's equity in the business. A lot of those things, I don't mind going to the internet real quick. Um, and then again, there's also you can double up on that with utilizing like a DSLBD or even like the DC Small Business Development Center at Howard, the DC, what is it, SBDC. Um,
Yeah.
those like they offer you mentors where you can like follow up on the information that you find on the internet. So it's like you're having like the machine explain it to you, but then a human make it make sense.
Yeah, I definitely use those tools. Gemini is my best friend. Like I know, like especially since again, I don't know if people came in early in the conversation. Both Ezekiel and I were both saying, thank God for second chances. So but since submitting and competing to even be on the speakers bureau, like putting my grant proposals or my proposals to my clients, sometimes I even run an email through it to make sure the tone is right. Those kind of tools, like I know people use like Grammarly, but I'll drop what I have written by Grammarly assisting me. I'll drop it into Gemini and I'll say, please make sure it's an inspiring or enthusiastic tone, because it's 11 o'clock at night. I'm sending this email and make sure it sounds good at this moment, but I'm gonna drop it into Gemini and make sure it sounds on point and sounds like my voice. But another thing that I've been doing, I would say, for since COVID, volunteering, because I think COVID taught me that was some of my most profitable years. Also, some of my biggest losses personally. I have family members that died during COVID, but they were some of my most profitable years because I volunteered to make masks for a hospital. And my partner took a picture of my daughter and I. My daughter was playing with the excess fabrics, and I was sewing masks for nurses that didn't have mask. Protective gear? I can't PPE. They didn't have PPE, and giving back, just putting myself out there to give back. Last year, I volunteered for an organization called MBDA, and it's Minority Businesses in Manufacturing, and they're on the Mid-Atlantic. It's a Mid-Atlantic they're a national organization, but their Mid-Atlantic office is right in Baltimore. I volunteered for one of their larger conferences, and that conference had people coming from all over the country. I basically was a greeter at a door. I was a greeter at a door. I made sure people were on the list. And one of the people to come up was from my alma mater. I was just like, go UD. And then she was just like, what do you know? What do you know? And I was just like, oh, I graduated, da 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 da. Did my quick little snippet of why I'm in business, still in business, because most of the people that I've graduated with have gone on and done other things. But like, I did that one piece. It got me speaking engagements. I would call that person a friend, or at least a mentor. But all of me saying, hey, I'm going to take 8 hours and whatever the drive is up to Baltimore for a couple days this week. I ended up benefiting more from me volunteering at a door. And trust, it's not easy volunteering in the DMV in Baltimore, especially with like heavy hitters. These people have multi-million-dollar companies, and I'm telling them, hey, I'm sorry, you can't go in. One, it keeps you humble, no matter what your profit margin is. And then like it just puts you in a different position, because I know, like I was saying earlier, especially in the DMV, like especially in directly in DC, it feels like after going to like some social events, people kind of get tone deaf, especially if your first or second question after asking a person's name is, what do you do? But if you're volunteering at an event or volunteering to support an organization you want to give back to, people ask you, why are you there? And then you see that's your opportunity to be in, because they're like, hey, I've never seen you before. I guarantee it. Hands down, guarantee it. More people are going to ask you why you're there. And then that's your opening pitch about your company. And I think that's, again, another way to build a genuine relationship with people. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Another way to build out your network is, obviously, through volunteerism, to build that network around your business, and it's also definitely noble, just all around, just to volunteer in your community, and it definitely helps the community around you, and you do get a lot of like network and support. I had another question. How would storytelling fall into building that network of support around your business? What's the power of storytelling, or especially business storytelling? How is that important? Or is it even a factor, for businesses?
You want to take that one, Renata?
Let me think about that one.
Okay. I would say storytelling to me is how you identify your audience, as far as like who is actually receptive to your message, and then you want to take that and make sure that it aligns with your projected like target audience. So um to give an example, again, so with my organization, excuse me, my target audience is not just like entrepreneurs that are starting out, but also like established organizations and even like government contracts. But when it comes, I'm probably the most passionate about the work with the entrepreneurs that are just starting, because I really want to make sure they believe in going from like 0 to 1, or like them early stages to like seeing themselves at the next level. So in a lot of the messaging that I'll put out there, whether it's like once we've actually started the consultations, or just like in my elevator pitch, is like letting them know that I understand that nothing starts out great, but everything great has a start. And just in that, I can tell based off of their response if they resonate with that, okay, this is my great start, or, okay, I'm a little bit beyond that. I'm looking to go from, again, like 1 to 10 now. So um, that being able to illustrate like what that story would look like, once even understanding more about like my, say, because I do like a lot more like one-on-one marketing. That's what's most successful for me. So my whole goal is to like get somebody's attention and interest, and then we start to talk about like what working together is for them. So even before getting to like the specifics of that individual's business, and all of my marketing and all of my outreach, it's really centered around painting a picture of what taking that next step really looks like, and being able to help like prompt the same way that you would prompt like a chat GPT or like a chat bot to, give you an answer. What my messaging is crafted in such so that way I'm essentially like prompting you to visualize what that next level looks like for you, so then we can have a discussion about it. That's the best way that I could put it into words. Um, Anything else, we'd have to have one of those calls.
For me, storytelling, it's weird for me. Like it kind of started with, because I decided not to name my company after myself. I had a design company that was, I had Renata Burns before. It was Renata Burns Designs. But then I got married, and it was just like, I can't name a company after myself. And then one of my mentors, my my sergeant major, she actually looked at me and she was just like, you have a great new name. My name is Renata Philippe. I mean, that's a great designer name. Like for me, like, I mean, you drop that name. I mean, you got so many things that are in there. Oscar de la
Sound
Renta.
like you should be in New York Fashion Week.
Like, that's a great name. But then she looked at me, she was just like, why are you doing this? Is it just to make your name big, or do you have a bigger goal? So my storytelling actually goes back to how I even like picked out Black Squirrel. When I relocated back to DC, it was just like, I honestly had never seen a black squirrel before. But I always made small objects that like stood out to people. Like that was like, oh, it's so bold, it's so different, da 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 da. But like the black squirrel, like it ended up being my storytelling. Like, and I guarantee like people, they might not know my name, but they might see me and be like, Black Squirrel, like, hey, that's where the story began. And they'll tell you that people can have had this woman told me and my husband the whole story of our company, but could not remember my name. So like my storytelling became stronger than my name. And in a way, I think I call them my apostles, my acolytes. Like the people that know my story can like actually sell the product. Like it's a thing now. Like I actually give out pins and um I guess like marketing promotional stuff, because people became so infatuated with my real story. I almost really had a car accident seeing my first black squirrel. People become infatuated with that, but then they realize, hey, this product, this item actually stands out. No, it might not stop traffic or anything, but like that, my storytelling I backed into it. I didn't realize I created that. It was just me trying to think of a name that wasn't my own personal name. So my storytelling, like, that's why I was like, let me think about that for a second. Cause like, honestly, like I didn't think about storytelling when I was thinking about the name of my brand, but like I backed into it. Like it just, hey, now I have a story that goes along with my company. And, you know, it's been there since inception. So yeah.
Right. And even to like to add to your point, like the symbolism that is conveyed when you tell the story, as well as like how it aligns to something being so unique, like that's what makes people drawn to you because they can relate to the fact that, hey, a black squirrel is actually something that, like when you said that, I thought about, yeah, the first time I ever saw a black squirrel was out here in DC, and I'd say the same thing. I pointed out every single time. So it makes so much sense that you align, you know, those two things together, and everybody that sees it can relate. Like it, to your point, like my logo is steps. Same thing. It's like every time you see the steps, I want you to think like my business is here to help you take the next steps
Awesome.
with your business.
Awesome.
That is so great. The storytelling, it's always fun to get panelists their storytelling and also their why, but also the whole like process of like why they created the business and using imagery and animals or other objects to kind of like that will resonate with consumers. And that's so funny about your client. I'm sorry that she forgot your name, but at the end of the day, she's helping you, expand. Word of mouth is important, right? The marketing from clients is really important. So yeah. I'll have one more question before we open it up for a discussion from our attendees. But you mentioned, I think it was Renata, that you have mentors in the whole entrepreneurial journey. For me, I have a few like buckets of mentors that like I go to for like advice on like well-being or financial or maybe just other check-in, like just to check in. Um, what are some of the those buckets of mentors that we may that people may not know or may not think of that can probably help them grow that network around their business?
Um, so real quick, the reason why I have mentors is because I actually, when I incorporated within a corporation, you have to have a board. My board's small. It's only 5 people. But like most of my mentors are on my board. These are the people that invested in me and that I potentially, hopefully one day will be able to give them some profit share because they're on my board. But I think my most unique mentor um is it's so funny. What is that? Okay, so I might not look at it, might not look like it, but I am a gym rat. I'm in the gym like every day. So probably about a year and a half ago, 2 years now, um, I saw this woman. She was like my bill or the bill that I remembered that I had. um, and I was like, oh my God, like she's a little bit older than me. I was like, oh my God, she's amazing. And I'm an introvert, but I was just like, something Drew was like, you better go compliment her right now. I complimented her. This woman, Miss Betty, this woman she not only like took me under her wing within the gym, she's also a coach. Like, and when I say like motivational coach, like I share some things, but I don't share everything. Like, I'm gonna be clear with you. All your mentors can't handle all your stories, but or all your business. But she became she does know, I say about 80% of what the background of my business. And then she inspires me so much. And I just, her genuine like outgoingness. I have her on staff now. Like when I have a big event, she's the one doing sales. When I did the state fair, was it last year? She was my salesperson. Like the woman can talk, like she can sell ice to as the saying goes, ice to a polar bear, ice to an Eskimo. Like she just genuinely like I saw someone that inspired me in one area, and then this woman ended up like being woven into other areas. No, she's not on my board, but she's like, I'd say she's my top seller. And like you can find a mentor in some of the weirdest places, and especially as an entrepreneur, I'm gonna encourage y'all to either have something spiritual going on, like have some kind of spiritual practice. I don't care if it's just sitting and meditating for 10 minutes a day, reading some books, but have something that you're feeding into. YouTube, we were talking about YouTube earlier. Ezekiel, I think you said something about YouTube. um, I sometimes watch a guy, his name is Bob Proctor. No, he's not my actual mentor. No, this man don't know me from a can of paint. I don't even know if the man's still alive, honestly. But
I be thinking the same thing.
like he's my mentor in my head. That man tells me to go after that business. Like I listen to him for a couple minutes a day. Like, and no, it's not no hoodoo voodoo, but sometimes your mentors are in the most unique places. Like one of mine is in the gym, the other is a YouTube inspirational speaker. So yeah, one person knows everything about me, but the other person is a business is a business. I would say he is a business, but he did give details about his business, so he does give a little bit of insight. So I don't know if that's a genuine mentor, but like sometimes if you can't like you don't have it within yourself to talk to somebody yet, like find something that especially business related. It doesn't even because he does general speak, um like he doesn't talk business specific, but even if it's just watching a video of someone that does advise and coach business owners, like go after those kind of speakers and listen to those until you get the confidence to actually go to somebody. I say look for, what do the kids say now, alpha, like go for the alpha, look for the alpha in the group. If you have like if you built up enough confidence, go and talk to that person, like pull them aside. Don't do it a whole bunch of people, because I know people be funny sometimes, but just go up and say, hey, you really inspire me. You never know what might happen. So yeah.
That's the truth. Um, I would say from my experience, when it comes to mentorship, I think the most that I've really gotten has been since I've been up here utilizing like free resources. And I say that because one, I do feel like there was kind of like a spiritual pull for me to come to DC, and like certain doors and opportunities open themselves up, and where I thought that certain individuals were like I kind of put them in the mentor space. It's like life is kind of like about evolving through like concentric cycles. So it's like you have this one like era of your life, and then you move on to the next, and then you move on to the next. So it's like once I moved up here, a lot of individuals that I looked at as mentors before, um, we just weren't at the same space. So again, through like utilizing a lot of these networking events, even just through again DSLBD, the SBDC, the Chamber of Commerce, getting like a score mentor, um, getting a financial mentor through the UPO, like all these different, um, I would say like official mentors for me, sprang out of like looking for the help. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't necessarily somebody that just like reached out and said like, "Hey, I do want to like help you up." Um, yeah, it's like I said, it's been like a lot of self-generated. I'm not even saying taking all credit. I think that um just on the spiritual tip, I have it written down in my bathroom. Like God makes it possible so that way I can make it happen. So it's always like more like a co-creation. Um and so like with that being said, yes, like that meditation, that prayer, that alignment just with like my higher self and my goals, that ends up also playing a factor when you kind of like take away from the distractions and just kind of like listen to yourself, listen to the higher power, listen to your higher self. It's like a lot of things you kind of already have like an intuitive clarity on. We just like get mistaken looking for other people's like validation and looking for other people to tell us that we're right with like one of our hunches, when really um you might even find more satisfaction just trying something based off of like that hunch that you got, and moving forward, and then kind of like learning your lessons on the back end. Not to say again that there's any issue with getting any mentor or anything like that. I would just also encourage you to kind of like um, encourage people to trust themselves as well, and put the information that's learned and then what you learn from like application and real life experiences, put that together, and you'll see yourself like move towards your goals. It's going to happen kind of like inevitably when you have like your sights really set and your eyes on the prize. Like the right pieces will come to you and everything.
Got it. Great, great. Yeah, so with that, we'll open it up for questions, feedback. Also, if folks want to share their, their how they built their own, networks around their businesses. I know that several of the attendees here are either businesses in operation right now, or starting their own, about to start their own endeavors in entrepreneurship. But yeah, this definitely is a space for that as well. So let's see who is, let me unmute everyone here. Go ahead, Balin. Let me unmute the attendees here. You can go ahead.
Everyone, and thank you guys for this wonderful discussion tonight. I wanted to know for the both of you, when you started off, what was your primary source of marketing, and what did you find most beneficial for that from that source you picked, and what did you find challenging, or what might you have thought you found was, oh, this is that one, but then you changed your mind and said, no. But I'm sorry, and I'm inquiring about marketing resources. Not necessarily a pivoting approach, but what did you use to market where you are now?
You want me to go, Renata? My most effective marketing approach really has been word of mouth. Um, like I said, being able to understand like really like case by case the goals of the entrepreneurs that I've worked with. A lot of it has been like really like organic conversation. We might meet in passing, or I might like go to a business. This is where again I found the most success, where I've been able to like speak face to face, eye to eye, shake somebody's hand, um, and talk to them just really like one on one about their business. And there's certain things I think like uh, nonverbal communication, nonverbal cues that are expressed in those meetings that allow there to be like a bridge of trust built between myself and that business owner. because I'm dealing with very sensitive information when it comes to like talking, like my business is business to business. So it's like for a business owner to want to trust me to even have the conversation about where they feel like they could be doing better, it's generally, I find more success when we've met, spoken. They know I'm not trying to scam them, or you know how like DMs will pop up saying, "Hey, I can take your Instagram page. Like, let's buy these followers, or let's do that." Like they know that that's not the type of time that I'm on. So then we're able to proceed from not knowing each other to trying to find a solution.
So I'm a product-based entrepreneur. So I use the traditional, I guess you would say, systems. But so like 2018, social media was a good place before. Like it was a good place for marketing. Um, the things that I have held on to and that I'll be consistent with and keep still using are my website, maintaining a website, not having a website that's down, having my clients put reviews on Google, because word of mouth is definitely, especially when it comes to design and like bespoke pieces, referring clients and designing in people's homes, referring people, personal referrals, definitely. They're the things that sells people, but people want to know you're genuine and authentic with one, your approach on how you interact with them, but then two, that other people genuinely like your products. So I would say Google and my website. And here's a trick with your website: try to stay away from stock photos. Have real photos, and when you have real photos on your website, it's like you with another client, instead of having that stock photo of a bunch of people with the same. There's a lot of stock photos out there. That's the number one thing that we see. Well, I used to see when I was in IT. Like that's the number one thing that scammers use. So stay away from those stock photos. Use photos of you with clients. Use, if you have an office space, use that. Put that on your website. Have I know at times I am at times I was hesitant in putting, my picture on my website. But at the end of the day, if they don't like the picture of me on my website, they're not gonna want to work with me. Some people don't want to give 10 grand to a Black woman to redo their home. But the real thing is if they don't like the picture that they see on the website, then they're not gonna like me in person. So let's just get that out of the way. So having a picture of yourself, having a picture of you, if you're in consulting, have a picture of you with your clients that approve of it, or even have your clients put it on Google. Because at the end of the day, you will have to have some type of digital footprint. Word of mouth, I definitely believe in using old school strategy and new techniques and combining them. Um, as far as products, a thing that I've been coached into starting to do. This took coaching up from one of my mentors. She she insisted that I start maybe giving my products to people that have a bigger audience than me, and it doesn't have to be an influencer, but having somebody with a bigger voice than you. Even like right now, I probably have like, I think it's like 1,100 followers, but giving my product to somebody that has 5,000 followers, they don't consider themselves an influencer, but they just have a bigger network of people that they can speak to it. Like you already know, they let you know, hey, I love this. And you give it to them, not even, maybe not necessarily free, because I wasn't comfortable in giving away free. I put some time into this stuff. But if I give it to them at a discount, maybe they'll speak to it. Like sell it to them for like the clutch that I showed y'all earlier. I sell it to them for what it costs me, like the raw goods, so that I'm not completely out. But you have to have that word of mouth, somehow have a digital footprint too. So whatever you're doing in person, somehow have it replicated online so that other people can see it. I don't know. Yeah.
Definitely. think Balin has another question. Go ahead, Balin. Or
I think she said she was muted.
she's muted. Okay.
Hurry.
Let's see.
All right. Okay. I'm so sorry. It's so different using this on my cell phone versus being on my computer. It's a lot easier. But thank you so much for the response from the both of you. The reason why I asked that question is because when you guys were talking about networking and going in person and going to these different events, that's something that I started doing like a year ago. And it does play a huge role getting your name out there. But I took a pause, I guess you can say, from doing that. And I miss it so much, but I'm getting ready to go back out and do it again. But I was trying to figure out like what was the best marketing strategy because everybody's selling point or what you're doing to make money, to become noticed, to feed your dream is different. So, like with myself, I'm in the consulting, training, and development, employment services section. And I'm trying to figure out a way that, yes, being in person and showing them who I am, talking about what I'm doing is good. But now I'm starting that digital footprint. That's my starting point. So, I appreciate your responses because I'm taking all of this in to apply to what I'm doing right now. But I didn't know if there was any challenges that you both may have faced that you can share with us on this call that we may see or maybe not see, but just any challenges that you guys have faced.
One thing that I would suggest when it comes to like service-based work, especially, is finding the balance between going wide versus going deep. So what I mean by that is when you are going to these events, going wide would be like talking to as many people as you possibly can, giving them, say, like an elevator pitch amount of information in regards to what you do, and then seeing what works from there, as opposed to like going deep would be honing in on like businesses that you've already worked with, institutions that you've already worked with, and if not driving like more value out of them, then asking them to refer you or refer potential customers to you. So then that way, they're all the work that you've already done is multiplying on top of itself. Excuse me, and like I said, like it's like digging deeper with a potential or a past client as opposed to looking for more individuals to essentially kind of like start from scratch with. Because then that could work in both ways. Again, you could work more with that individual, or they can refer somebody to you, as opposed to you taking the time. Like you said, it's been a minute since you've been out on the circuit, networking and things of that nature. It would be most beneficial to you if at the same time, while you weren't necessarily, well, while you were taking that break, the networking was being done for you. So it's like you want to create like advocates for your business as you continue to uh, create those success stories and complete the work that you do with your clients.
I would add hmm, if you're a consultant, is there a person that you know that is in a complementary business that you've met sometimes in the rounds when you were out networking? I'll touch base with them because environments have changed. Like, is it CBC? One of those big things is going on this week. Like,
CBC.
yeah, like, but I learned from one of my one person I used to like see in circles when I network. Hey, stay away from anything if it's not happening if it's not happening at a museum, if it's not happening at an embassy, don't go to it. People are in here to make money now. So like I had to learn that from touching base with somebody. I'm like, I just touch base. Hey, are you going to such and such? Refresh the places that you used to go to events at. I would even like contact event planners So no, you might not have known the event planner personally, but go back through some of your old emails, those old evites, and then look at who organized the event, and then touch base with the event planners to see if they even have the type of event, those events anymore, or if they could recommend. You never know until you ask. I've noticed that a lot of people, especially when you're specific with your question, not trying to get anything from them, but just general information, like especially if it's not in like, if they're not planning for CBC events this week, if they got event, like you notice, hey, this usually happen like 3 months from now. This event usually happens in like December. Touch base with that event planner, go through, look at that event planner, what happened last year. See, touch base with that person and say, hey, are y'all doing y'all event again? Um, I'm I attended your event last year and I just wanted to touch base, because they're going to give you the best, I would say, temperature check of how networking is, for that, and for whatever industry you're in. I'm a guarantee for whatever industry you're in. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And I think we're at time, a little bit after 5, but thank you both to Ezekiel and Renata for giving us inspiring advice on how to build the networks around your business, and very helpful for everyone here, the attendees who are starting their business or in business already. So I have recorded this training here, and we'll send it out to folks in a later date. And yeah, I'll stop the recording here. Stop.